The late afternoon sun is creeping toward the horizon, putting a hazy purple-orange cap on a beautiful spring day. We begin our tale in Beltor, doubly named in one of the old tongues for its idyllic views of both the engineering marvels of its town and the guild, coinage, and crown districts, as well as the city's own perfect circle design, complete with a stone wall that bears no outward corners. In a crowded block, just off the largest central market, we arrive at the Old Hat Inn. Its hallmarks, apart from the rusty iron signage, are gruff staff and overpriced lodging and refreshments. For reasons too manifold to list, it has become a hub for a particular kind of tourist. Campaigners. Those with the unusual desire to tramp around the countryside, risking life and limb to do odd jobs for coin. Campaigners are easy to spot, bristling with weapons on pleasant afternoons, hooded faces, muddy boots, sitting on a bar stool fully armored. Leaning against the center of the bar is a sturdy dwarven man by the name of Cag, perpetually shirtless in order to avoid depriving the world of a view of his musculature and tattoos. He was to take up the mantle of his clan and work as a mason, or, as he'd call it, stacking stones. But instead, Cag traded his future of time-honored labor, wealth, and tradition for one of stories, adventure, and hardship. A song often in his throat, Cag yearns for the days that people will love and hate him, for the way he sings and the sharpness of his tongue, than the breadth and density of his knuckles. Unlike most of the other campaigners, Cag carries no weapons on his person that you can see, traveling only with a pack of supplies and a steel buckler. Never block a punch with a piece of good dwarven steel. If he's angry enough, he'll keep swinging. That right hook will never swing as hard again. He's well set until I remember your name. Seated alone at a small table near the back is a half-orc woman. Tall and strong, but not nearly as broad of shoulder as many of the orc lineage. Cairn is also quick and nimble. She knows the area and the workings of nature quite well. She fights with a boar spear and a heavy hide shield. Originally of the Stoneclaw clan, she was ostracized for being part human. She left the nomadic tribe behind, only to find that many humans found it difficult to see past her orc heritage. Rather than try and keep one foot in either world, Cairn blazed her own trail, earning her keep as a guide and hired muscle.
If you wish to get where you intend alive, you will require my aid.
Another woman who prefers to keep to the shadows, Gernlin the Kyler, drinks the house's strongest ale from beneath a leather hood. Gernlin is a gnome who is known for being exceptionally fierce in a fight, with a dagger in each hand. A few have tried to get her story, but none have heard her speak even a word here in the Old Hat. The Sparts nods and grunts as affirmative, and a feral growls to indicate a negative. With a flash of divine energy and an unholy glow from the helmet, in strides the most average-sized goblin you've ever seen. It is clear from his two big, heavy armor and shield that this is a cleric of the deity of tyranny. He sits centrally, almost daring someone to taunt him, as he tells the innkeeper that he is called Wen and that he requires food and drink. The armor, along with its implied faith, were both inherited from a fallen soldier during a successful raid to wipe out his own clan. He saw then that his people were disorganized, and this made them weak. The invading humans moved as one, had proper arms and armor for the task, and they were well fed. This made them strong. He decided there that he too would become strong. Carrying the longsword couched under his arm like a lance, he set out to claim the glory that is now destined to be his.
When not leave, till when find job to bring when glory.
Off to the side of the bar, in a well-lit spot, is a young gnome reading from a treatise on conflict resolution. Any innkeeper worth their salt could spot that he was fresh from the priory, as the young man climbed onto the stool and introduced himself as Tarkleby. He politely asked for a small mug of fruit juice. Pear should be in season in this region about now. A cleric of knowledge, Tarkleby loves studying, learning factoids, solving puzzles, and reading books. Any who would listen long enough can also learn that he is terrified of darkness, monsters, and conflict. And he also doesn't like water.
Anything could be down there. And if you've read enough about what might be lurking beneath the surface, well, that only makes it worse.
Over by the alley window sits Terence Riverforder, a human man with a white headscarf to protect from the sun and a wide-bladed scimitar at his hip. Also, a short recurve bow sits leaning against the wall. Every once in a while, he'll grab something off his plate and hold it out the window so that his camel Ferdinand can have a snack, or even hold his tankard out the window and share a drink with his friend. Terence prefers to stay mounted whenever possible, but innkeepers don't generally allow that sort of thing indoors. The similarity between Terence and Ferdinand in both looks and mannerisms has been noticed by nearly all who have met them.
I know, old bean, I don't bally well like us not being able to dine together either, but without rotting coins, I can't supply us with any tucker at all.
Brooding at the bar is a former tavern server, bartender, innkeeper whose life was ruined by adventurers. A human woman in her early 20s. She's now fled her home with nothing but a few coins she's saved up, a hunting knife, and her father's wolf pelt cloak, as well as a belly full of enough anger to ensure her survival. She's pleasant enough to most, but every now and again, the firelight seems to catch in her eyes, making them an ominous, gleaming yellow. Helping others seems to be the best way to get the funds I need for myself, so I'll do what needs done. Sitting on a bar stool, trying to ignore the inane chatter of the few locals who have come to watch the strangers roll in, is a young dwarf woman. She has close-cropped hair and braided sideburns and a flair for teenage drama. Ellie was born with magic in her blood, a sorcerer, but has taken to wizardry in order to learn the scholarly pursuit of magic and how it can be controlled and manipulated. Ellie is eager to learn more, but study is tedious and slow, and she'd always prefer to skip a few steps to get to practical applications. She's currently working to strengthen her talents and make a name for herself so that she can gain entrance for proper training at a real wizard's tower.
Am I the kind of mage that'll make your crops grow? Sure, if lighting them on fire is of any aid. You see me prancing about the gardens wearing a flower crown?
The door opens, and there's a brief pause in conversation as all eyes take in the newcomer. A wood elf woman in a fine green velvet dress enters and strides with grace and confidence to the barkeep. She whispers a brief message to him and leaves. It isn't long until every ear in the old hat has heard that the Lady Sandrine, only child and heir of the Marquess, has gone missing. Last seen going for a ride from the western gates where she often takes the trails in a nearby forest. Speculation and rumors of bandits, anti-nobility sentiments, lurking monsters, and rebels swirl in the air like pipe smoke, along with the promise of riches and access to the Marquess's ear. Which three will step forward and answer this call? How might their skills best find the missing Sandrine? Why might they work together? What are their first actions? I leave it to you, the Fates.
Heyo, what's up, every people? Bloom here. Thank you so much for sticking around. So, I ask you, the Fates, it's your turn now. Down in the comments, start chucking out your thoughts, your ideas for which three characters you'd like to see take up adventuring together. Who should we follow? Who might work well together? Who might be a terrible idea to kind of cram into an adventuring party? Do you like the boisterous Cag or Karen the Ranger? Do you like Gernlin, the stealthy, stabby little gnome? Do you like Wen, the dramatic glory hound, or the fresh-faced acolyte Tarkleby? Perhaps it's Terence and his best friend Ferdinand that should heed the call. Maybe you'd choose the brooding Renee, who's kind of an anti-adventurer. Or maybe lastly, but probably not leastly, maybe it's Ellie that's kind of caught your eye, you know? So, where should our chosen three, whichever you, the Fates, like, search for the Lady Sandrine? What do you think they'll get up to? What's their first steps? What do you think they do with any reward money and access to the Marquess? Also, and this is kind of the most important bit, I want to build all of this with you. So if there's anything that you would like to contribute, anything, please get at me and we'll find a way to make that work. You don't have to have done any of this before. It's probably evident that I have not. Yeah, I'd love to hear from you. And lastly, if you want to follow along with the adventures of our heroes, please make sure to take a shot at that subscription button. Here's to you, the Fates, and we'll see every people back here for episode 2.